very good evening, gentlemen, and welcome to the finale session of the intensive series of workshops that we are conducting from the past 1 year on international taxation. Well, with international taxation being one of the core competent areas, we professionals have to be aware of the various key changes, in fact the kind of changes and amendments that keep happening in the international taxation. Actually, CA Srinivas, who is presently the Vice Chairman of SIRC, took the initiative a year back to conduct the series of intensive workshop in international taxation, which will enable the members who are in practice of the said area to understand the emerging technologies, transitional business methodologies and the continuous amendments in the regulation. Well, on behalf of Bangalore branch, I appreciate CA Srinivas in his absence and all the eminent and expert speakers for having put in their ardent efforts to conduct the series of workshop on international taxation. In fact, we started this series of workshop on 4th of July 2016 and in 2015 and conducted on 1st and 3rd Saturdays of every month in the evenings, primarily focusing on important case laws and practical illustrations. And so far we have conducted 22 days programs on every article of the double taxation avoidance agreements. Let me take this opportunity to once again thank CA Srinivas, the coordinator of this workshop, and the various speakers for their unstinted support and for the conduct of this series of workshop on international taxation. Can we have a round of applause to Srinivas for having taken this opportunity. Coming back to today's session, the topic is Article 28, 29 and 30, that being members of diplomatic missions and consular posts, entry into force and termination. To chair this session, we have with us a speaker, CA Amith Kumar. I request Amith Kumar to kindly come onto the stage. Introduction about Amith. Amith has over 15 years of experience in audit and consulting in varied fields of international tax, corporate tax and regulatory matters. He is specializing in advising clients in business and operational structures. He has been extensively involved in advising India inbound and outbound clients on tax efficient structuring and advisory matters. His clients include companies from diverse sectors such as IT, pharma, manufacturing, retail, hospitality and high net worth individuals. He is also involved in litigation and he has represented clients before tax and appellate authorities. He is a Bachelor of Commerce and is a member of ICA. With this introduction, I welcome CA Amith Kumar once again and over to you.
Hello everyone. Well, we see a very small presence here. Let me just ease down myself a little bit. Thank you very much for taking up your time and present here. First of all, let me try to give you a little flavor of what we are trying to do here. There are various ways of handling this session. One is, there is a slide deck, 25-30 slides, I just run all of them. May not take more than 15 minutes for me to close this. Another way, although the crowd is very less, but I would like you to participate. Share your views around it. Whatever we know about treaties, we know about these articles, we would be happy to share each other's views around it. And this is not the first session which I am sure you are attending. I was told it's a finale session. That means that some of you or all of you would have attended some set of these sessions in the past. And idea is basically to share about that, because although these are the last few articles of any convention, my idea would be, at least I try to put together the relevance of these articles into any sort of convention or a treaty. Now with that, I would like to hear your views, which you would have heard or understood about what is treaty before we get into all this. Can any one of you help me in articulating in one or two lines about what is treaty? I'm not talking about which treaty, I'm not talking about which convention, but what is treaty? Can I say a treaty is an agreement? Can I say a treaty is an agreement between two parties or more than two parties? And if it is an agreement between two parties, it has to be meant or understood with the intent for which it has been written up. It is not a law, it is not a code, and hence there is no need of writing down various sections, legislation amendment like we have seen in GST, so many things are happening. It has to be read as if it is an agreement. Like any agreement, when we enter into an agreement, what we see? We see there are parties defined there. We see there is a scope of work which is defined there. We see there are various terms and conditions which have been there. And we also see the ways of affecting it and the ways and manner in which it can be terminated. Any treaty has to be looked into in that manner before we reach into any interpretation. Today the topic which has been given to us is Article 28, 29 and 30. Now, when we say about Article 28, 29 and 30 become important, we are talking about article of what? If you say about treaty, there could be thousands of treaty which is there in international. And if you ask only India versus others, you will have at least more than hundreds. But there could be multiple treaties with various countries. And hence it is important that we keep our thing into a perspective. And for that, what I have taken OECD as a guidance. Now, there has been some background to it, and I am going to put that in an overview of 5 minutes. And I have enlarged the scope of this session from 3 articles to 4 articles, so that we give the entire coverage to the entire discussions today. We are going to spend some time on overview, and then we are going to spend some time on each of these 4 articles which we are going to discuss today. Fine. One more thing, if you have any doubt, just raise your hand. I would be happy to hear your perspective. Don't consider me as if whatever I am saying is going to be a rule of law. You are also equal like me. Most of you or all of you must be a practicing chartered accountant or having any experience in this field. You will have come across some live examples in your professional career. I'd be happy to hear that perspective as well. Let us talk about overview. When we talk about what we are talking about in terms of this 4 treaty and why I have enlarged the scope to this 4 treaty. I am sure you would have heard model conventions, and there are 3 model conventions which are generally being relied upon in the international tax framework. These are OECD model conventions, US model convention and UN model convention. What are model convention? If in a very plain layman language, if I say these are the agreement template. These are the template which has been decided between the tax fraternity of each of these countries, having diplomacy into it and putting together a template which the country should ideally follow. These are only recommended kind of conventions. Then the parties, which are 2 nations, are free to use it or terminate it or not to follow or follow in a particular circumstances. The whole idea of these conventions was so that we can bring a uniformity in terms of interpretation. Now, if you see model convention 5 years, 7 years or 10 years back, most of them had 30 articles. But in the last 15 years or 17 years, I would rather say, there have been some changes. From Article 1 to Article 26, you see a similar pattern. Start from coverage, definition, scope of work, PE, taxation of a PE, royalty, FTAs, capital gains, all those things are there. There has been an insertion in OECD and UN model in terms of Article 27, which talks about assistance in tax deductible. Because of this insertion, the earlier article, which was 27, 28 and 29, our coverage of today has been pushed by one more. And Article 27 supersedes them. That means, and this article is not there in US convention. When we talk about about a member of diplomatic mission or consular post, which is one of our topic today, we will talk about Article 28 when we speak on OECD and UN nations, but that article will be found at Article 27 when you see US Convention. And that's what I wanted to bring in overview today. Similarly, you see there is an insertion of subsequent changes of law in US the convention, which has been taken as Article 28. Because of that, the other articles have been shifted to 29 and 30. So this brief overview is just to give a perspective that when we talk about article, a particular number towards the end of the entire conventions, there will have been a change because there at times things have been inserted into some convention which were not equivalent in other one, and that's why this article numbers could have been used in a different context. As I mentioned, for today's discussion, we are going to focus on OECD, and hence I am going to take Article 28, which is member of diplomatic mission and consular post, Article 29, which is territorial extension, Article 30, which is entry into force, and Article 31, which is termination. Fine? Let us move further. We'll get into Article 28. What I did in this slide, I just tried to put together the language verbatim which is there in all the three conventions, and not to shock you, they are all 100% similar. I'll just read one of them and that will be covered all the three conventions for the purpose of discussion. It talks about that nothing in this convention, when we say anyone who is writing the treaty language would also be like that. Nothing in this convention shall affect the fiscal privilege of members of diplomatic mission or consular post under general rules of international law or under the provision of special arrangement. What does it mean? That if there are people who are either a diplomatic mission or a consular post, you can't tax them unfavorably what has already been offered to them under international law or under any special arrangement. What is to be meant here is, what do you mean by diplomatic mission? What do you mean by consular post, the highlighted words? And what is international law? When we saw about international law, which law? Today in India we have the Income Tax Act, the all big book which is there in our offices. But that is domestic law. How does international law will play? What is international law in terms of diplomatic mission and consular post? But before we get into international law, let us just spend some time on what is this diplomatic mission or consular post. Any thoughts? What do you mean by diplomatic mission? Sorry? Ambassador, very good. UN programs, very good. If you see the definition, okay, the open or do a Google of diplomacy mission, the definition what you get is, if there is a bunch of people or a group of people or even single one people of one state, say for example US, or for a one inter-government or international organization, say for example UN nations, they have been deputed in another country, say for example India, to represent their own country or their own organization is nothing but diplomatic mission. That's what the law talks about, or that's what the general meaning of diplomatic mission talks about. Now, embassy is a good example because what happens is ambassador is one person which represents its country and which is to take care of the diplomatic relationship between the two countries. That means ambassador or any person who works in embassy falls into diplomatic relation or diplomatic mission. That means any official of that particular embassy will also fall into this particular exemption criteria or this particular definition. Now, if ambassador is diplomatic mission, what do you mean by consular post? Do you see an overlap? again I'll try to give a definition of a consular post under the Black Law Dictionary or a regular meaning. It talks about a person who represent one particular state, say for example the US, has been deputed in India, another state, and which takes care of the interest of the resident of his own state, means US nationals. A person in India which takes care of the interest of US nationals will fall into the definition of consulate or consular. The definition of consular is very restrictive. It is not to take care of a diplomatic relationship. It's to take care of a particular bunch of people. And on top of it, it's also a given responsibility to take care of the trade between two countries, to take care of travel between two countries. In a very simple or layman terms, and after going through all of them, what I could make out is a diplomatic, when we talk about mission, they are embassy, ambassador. Generally, you will find one officer is in the capital city of a state, in India, perhaps in Delhi and others. A consular post are generally not the ambassador, they are consulate, and they are responsible for granting visas and others. If you take about US, you have a consulate in Chennai, you have a consulate in Hyderabad, you have a consulate in various places. A consulate, depending upon the requirement, can be more than one, and an ambassador will always be over. And a consulate is an office or a person who takes care of the trade and travel between these two countries. Am I clear? Now this convention only applies to these two different posts or these two different offices. If I am any other, I may not fall into this. There are definitions to take care whether UN nations or United Nations group of companies or those kind of diplomatic stuff, whether they fall into this or not, the answer to that is yes. Why? Because international law kind of covers it, not that the treaty talks about. We'll come to that in a few minutes. Let's come to the third word which we were looking in that earlier slides, which was international law or spatial arrangement, because we need to understand that before we interpret what is there in the treaty. When you talk about international law, the mother of all international law is the Vienna Convention. I'm sure you have heard about this convention. It got gathered way back in 1960s. The idea was, again, that all international law or cross-border transactions should be interpreted in a similar manner. A group of companies in those days, those powerful group or nations got together and formed Vienna Convention. Lots of representation happened, and during that time they tried to put together a document which will be used for the purpose of international law. There were two circulars, or I would say framework has been ready. One is called Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relationship 1961, and then is Vienna Convention of Consular 1963. If you read these are the bigger kind of convention, goes into 40 pages, 50 pages, but I just mentioned the relevant articles which you have to go through it. By and large, these articles gives a right or gives a mechanism in which the taxation can be there. Now what we are talking about a diplomatic mission ambassador of US nation who has come to India. Just think of that example. He is a citizen of US, perhaps yes. He may not continue to be a resident of US, and I am assuming that US law is at par with India for the purpose of this discussion. Like in India, we have a residency rule. The moment you cross 180 days outside India, you become a non-resident. And then you categorize yourself as resident, not already resident for the purpose of taxation. You just presume that US taxation also goes the same manner. That means that he is no more a tax resident of US for the purpose of discussion, right? He is earning some income in India. His income in India could be his own salary income or service income for the purpose of him being an investor in India and he's earning some income. It could be any other income as well. say for example any business income or any side income or any sort of an income which you would have earned. The law talks about, the Vienna Convention talks about, that the country who is receiving the service, in our example India, will not tax this individual as per his law. It can be taxed only in 3 or 4 circumstances. A, if it is linked to any goods or consumption tax, for example VAT, for example service tax, for example upcoming GST. If those guys are consuming any goods, like I am paying with an VAT, that person will also pay VAT. That is not exempted. Number 2, if he has taken any private property in India and he is paying any sort of a municipal taxes or a stamp duty for the purpose of registration, that is not exempted. Number 3, if it is relating to some sort of an inheritance tax or anything which you got in terms of state planning, those taxes has to be paid. And number 4, any other income other than his salary or his service income. In this slide, because it will be made available to you as I understand, I just try to cover Article 49 of the Vienna Convention 1963, which is for a consulate. But if you will see, the same language is there for 61, which is for diplomatic agency. That the consular officer employees and their families exempt from all dues, taxes, personal or real, national, regional, municipal, except the following taxes. And as I mentioned, A, with regard to the price of goods, which is services tax and other things. Second, with regard to private property. Third, with regard to succession. And fourth, with regard to any other private income. Now this is what Vienna Convention written in 1961 and 63. They also written one more very interesting law, may not be much applicable in Indian scenario, but may be applicable when you go outside India, is if this guy is in his individual capacity employs anyone and those anyone does not fall into the definition of consular post or a diplomatic mission, then they assume a responsibility of being an employer because they have employed these people. And once you assume a responsibility of employer, anything on employer you need to do, like contribution to PF, contribution to social security, contribution to tax. In India, it may not be much relevant because all this liability comes if you have your own business. If you are an individual, there is a domestic help I have, there is a maid in my family, do I take care of their social security? Answer is no, because there is nothing in law as on today which talks about it. Talks about business establishment. I am not carrying any business establishment. But there are countries where you need to take care of their social security of any domestic help at home as well. And those things have been covered in the Vienna Convention very nicely in 1961 itself. By and large, the conclusion comes is, if that diplomat, in our example the US ambassador who will come in India, if he is earning any income from his ambassador role or from his role of he being a diplomatic mission, India has no right to tax that income. Although he is receiving his salary in India, it is accruing in India, but India has no right to tax. Apart from this, if he earns any income in form of business income or a capital gains or anything else, India has a right to tax. Am I clear? The Model Convention of OECD gives a right to the negotiating countries that you can further clarify if you want in treaty 3-4 aspects. Number 1, if you want to put some law with regard to double non-taxation. Have you heard of this concept called double non-taxation in the past? Double non-taxation, as its name suggests, is income has been earned by a person, but he has not paid taxes in any one of both the countries. On a different footing, if you see, Indo-Mauritius Treaty was a perfect example of a double non-taxation. If a Mauritian company has an investment in India and they sell the shares of an Indian company, in a normal scenario, sale of a share of Indian company is taxable in India by anyone. But they will invoke Indo-Mauritius Treaty and say Indo-Mauritius Treaty talks about this capital gains is not taxable in India, it will be taxable in Mauritius. Means you have not paid any taxes in India. Mauritius does not levy any tax on capital gains. It becomes a double non-taxation. You earned it, you got a profit, but you have not paid taxes in India and you have not paid taxes in Mauritius. That's on a different footing, not relating to double non-taxation which we are talking about. Let us talk about double non-taxation in our context. I will take the gentleman, US ambassador coming to India. Now, you have given a responsibility or a restriction to the Indian authority that they cannot tax the income is they're paying to his consulate who is received in India because it is his consulate or it is his diplomacy income, which is fine. Now just go back in US. Presumably US law says that if you have become a non-resident and if the income doesn't come to US, I will not tax in US. That means this income which he received in India as a diplomatic mission is not taxed in India, it not taxed in US. To curb this kind of practices, they have come up and they told that if the countries wants that they can write a separate paragraph here saying that how to curb these practices. India has done that nicely, I just come and admit. Second thing, if they want to clarify the residential position of these people, they are resident of India or they are resident of US. India is not taxing them, that's fine. But whether they become a resident in India or they become a resident of US, that they can put in. They can also put in how they will take care of the United Nations sort of a thing. So there is a UNO, I work with UNO. That means a US people may not come to India, US people may be going to some other place as a part of UN. As a part of UN. How do that particular to be treated in terms of overall taxation? That also they can clarify in their convention. And fourth is, if you want to clarify the tax treatment of honorary position of consulate. What honorary position consulate means is that the person who is working as a consulate but is not drawing any salary. What he is drawing perhaps could be his expenditure. How you tax those expenditures. Those kind of things you can also clarify it. I told that India has done nicely all this. How they have done it. I have gone through almost 60-70 treaties of India for the purpose of this clause. And in all 60-70 except one, which is Greece, you have the same line which I was there in Model Convention, that nothing in this convention will give a privileged treatment to XYZ as per international law. India has written that nicely, but how they are in effect following it, when I got into a little more in depth of it, there are two sections in which we have done very, very nicely drafted. Section 10.6, which is an exemption section, it's actually exempt any foreign citizen who is working in embassy or consulate and drawing salary. That income is completely exempted at source in India. This India itself saying that I will not tax them. India has put two riders. A, it should be exempted in that country had my people would have gone in the same services. If you are not exempting, I will not also not be exempting. So that's a nice rider which they put in. Second, what we are talking about is only service income. We are not talking about any PGBP or a business profit or any other profit. That's what the international law was. 10.6, if you ask me, it is verbatim in terms of intention. It is same as what Vienna Convention has mentioned. India has complied with Vienna Convention from a domestic law perspective. In terms of outbound, the Indian ambassador going into various places. Now they will become non-resident because they will no more in Indian for the purpose of tax. There, India has put under section 9.1 saying that that income which he receives outside India as a part of diplomacy mission will be deemed to accrue in India. The moment it deemed to accrue in India, you are taxable in India. In effect, we have followed Vienna Convention. We are taxing if the people are going from here because they will not be taxed in those countries. I don't want to give them double non-taxation. I want to just be there. And those who are coming from outside to India, I am saying it is exempted. what India has followed is exactly what Vienna Convention has written. And if that is the case, do we really need this in the treaty? Because for any case, you first interpret Indian law, you see whether it's taxable in India or not, and then you move into treaty. If I say this is as per international law, which is there in treaty, do you really need this in the treaty? Because India law talks about that. I just want to leave that thought with you guys. When I was doing all the scenarios, there were only one or two scenarios which I brought or which I found maybe treaty could be relevant, but that is more on the diplomatic relationship rather than anything else. Because the treaty, in most of the cases, verbatim copy paste same thing as this, no favorable treatment can be given, or it has to be as per the Vienna Convention or international law as the case may be. Any doubt on this article? There are not much Indian case laws on this because generally it is crystal clear under Indian tax itself. Few judgments which I found could be relevant for discussion. The first one is the scope of service fee or salary income. Does it include pension as well? The situation was that there was a person who was under a diplomatic mission, came to India some years back, retired with this position, continued to be in India, and started earning pension. Now, section 10(6) talks about salary receipt. It doesn't talk about pension receipt. He is a person of diplomatic mission, that's fine. He was a person of diplomatic mission. But whether salary includes pension or not, that was a discussion. It was not invoking Article 28. It was more on overall that whether it includes salary includes pension or not. Karnataka High Court also told that under the definition of salary as defined under section 17, it talks about salary includes A, B, C, D, E, in which pension is there, and salary includes pension. If you are exempting salary, pension is also exempted. I am not getting into the merit of it, I just wanted to mention here that they have given this kind of judgment. The interesting one is the other two, which is Emirates and Royal Jordanian Airlines. These airlines are royal airlines. They are not like Indian Air India. Air India is still a PSU, it's a separate, although government agency, but it's a separate agency. But these airlines are sovereign airlines, which is being run by the countries, or I would say the government of that countries. The question here comes is that when they are coming to India, will they form under Article 28 and say that they are a diplomatic mission and not taxable entity? Courts have told no. Diplomatic mission and consular posts have been defined with a limited content in the point. You can't make anything of the government agency working and coming to India. That if you are coming to India for the purpose of running airlines, you have to pay taxes as if it's coming. It's nothing related to the service income. Fair point, if you read the judgments are also kind of coming out and making it clear part of it. The whole idea of putting here is we have limited it, the exemption has been given to the limited set of people, and accordingly it has to be seen and applied on a limited content. Any questions before I move into the next article? Territorial extension. Now this particular article is only there in one model convention, which is OECD. Why it is not there in UN, I can make out because UN is generally a nation of developing countries. Developing country cannot afford to have extended territories. They have to manage their own territory well and good. That's a challenge for them. In OECD, what happens is there may be multiple scenarios where I have a country, but I have various other smaller islands along with me where I manage the international relationship for them. If I have signed a treaty with any other country, does that treaty apply to this smaller territory or not? That was a point of debate, and that's where this has been inserted around 15 years back to give some clarification. Basically, it has given a right to the OECD nation that if they want to clarify, they clarify properly. I'll just read the convention before we touch on the stuff. Convention may be extended, this treaty may be extended, its entirety or with any modification to territories excluded from the application or to any state or territory for whose international relations contracting state is responsible, which imposes tax substantially similar in character to those to which the convention applies. In a layman terms, if I have signed a treaty with a country X, and country X also takes care of the international relationship of X1, X2 and X3, the treaty may also apply to X1, X2 and X3 provided written in this article. Okay. Now this article is not there in UN Convention, it is not there in US Convention. That means if it is not there, what is the relevance of this? It has to be there everywhere. You can't let a set of people believe that it is important, the other set of people believe it does not. It is not important. Treaty also have an article called Article 3, which is a definition article. That article defines that for the purpose of this treaty, what do you mean by state A, what do you mean by state B? And generally in that article, you actually define the scope. You say that India means India, territory, water of India, airs of India and all those things. Similarly, if you go to a country like Australia, it says that Australia includes this Australia, it does not include the small island which is there near Australia. So actually, this is there in Article 3 in terms of definition. Nations can also written by way of a protocol defining or excluding certain things. But beyond these two, if you specifically want to include or exclude any territory, you can use this article. From an Indian context, we found this article in a couple of treaties, not in all the treaties. If you see India and Denmark treaty, there is Article 29 there, which talks about Greenland is excluded. In fact, this article also talks about that the Faroe Island is also excluded. But thereafter a protocol has been signed to include Faroe Island also into it. I am just trying to emphasize that yes, it could have been done by way of Article 3 insertion itself, but this article has been chosen to add or delete a particular exclusion. Article 20 is also there in Netherlands, which says that Netherlands is enabled extension to Aruba and Netherlands Antilles. The only thing they have written that to the extent required, we will modify the language of the convention. Now this is also being permitted by OECD convention that it may not be possible that in entirety it may be applicable in that small state. Hence you can suitably use or not to use a particular clause. So suitably change as the terms of the requirement. Beyond these two, there are a couple of more that Article 28 and 29 as the case maybe is there. I've just covered few territory extension, may not be Article 28, 29 relevant, maybe Article 3 relevant, but it's very important for us to see. India-China always used to be a problem that whether Hong Kong comes under the fold of China, because for diplomatic conditions, everything Hong Kong comes under China. International law, international framework, Hong Kong comes under China. For tax purpose, whether Hong Kong comes or not, if you see Chinese law, Article 3 is silent on it. And there was a huge problem until a clarification came from them that specifically Hong Kong and Macau is not covered in the Indo-China agreement. Fallout of that, what happened is today we have no treaty with Macau, we have no treaty with Hong Kong. I have not seen Macau, but at least with Hong Kong I have been sure that there is no treaty. Today if a transaction happens between Hong Kong and India, although Hong Kong becomes a good economy and there is a good trade happening between Hong Kong and India, but unfortunately it comes under the regular section of Income Tax Act because there is no treaty between India and Hong Kong, and China treaty does not apply to Hong Kong. Similarly, Indo-UK treaty, definition clause very specifically mentioned. It is not coming in Article 29, but it is coming in definition clause itself, that UK means Great Britain and Northern Ireland. That means that other 13, 14 UK territories in which Great Britain has some influences in terms of international relationship does not form under Indo-UK treaty, like Bermuda, BVI, Cayman, Gibraltar, all those small territories. you will find there is very common structuring where a Gibraltar company has formed a branch office in Dubai, and Dubai is doing the services in India. Which treaty to apply? India, Dubai, India, Gibraltar. There is no treaty with Gibraltar, and the UK treaty will not apply to Gibraltar. That means those cases, even though the trade is happening, it falls into the regular domestic law. There is no treaty where they can apply. Because in this structure which I told, Gibraltar, Dubai branch and India, Dubai says that it will only applicable on Dubai companies. It does not apply a foreign branch. Means you can't apply into Dubai treaty. Then you go to Gibraltar because it's a branch of a Gibraltar. UK treaty does not apply between Gibraltar and India. And there is no treaty between India and Gibraltar. Means a transaction that comes to this way is to be treated as a transaction between transaction between two nations where there is no treaty. And if there is no treaty, it is domestic law. You can't go to the treaty end. These are the smaller things. Whenever you get a case, you get situations to analyze. Please look at the extent whether it is applicable. Generally, and these are my practical examples which I'm kind of quoting here. Because generally, if you don't get into the nitty-gritty of the definition, Article 29 of the protocol, you will not able to come out of the final aspect of where the treaties are applicable, where the treaties are not applicable. Moving forward, Indo-US, nicely written, anywhere where US tax applies. Now, why they have mentioned US being US, they have mentioned it because they keep increasing their pricing. With data available in public domain, I have not done much research on it. I understand there are quite a few islands which US have bought by paying payments, basically, just to come under their territory. Now, as and when the US tax laws applies to them, any transaction happen between them and India will fall under Indo-US treaty. I have not done much research on it because it's quite a few they have added there. But I'm just saying that wherever it's become a US, slightly mindful of it, which part of US it is, whether it's an independent territory, whether the US laws apply there or not, just to come to a conclusion. India-France, it's very nicely written there that it's applied to the territory of France or any other territory where under the international law, France has a right to exploit their capital and asset. Now France again have quite a few small islands between them. And all of them, France has a right to exploit. That means that I've just written a couple of them. The French Guiana and Reunion Island. These are smaller islands. If any transaction happening between them, they will fall under the definition of Indo-French treaty because the France definition will include them. Just because they are a small island, they will not become outside of the treaty. Australia, I just mentioned in the example earlier itself. Australia treaty specifically say that it's applied to Australia excluding, there are 8 exclusions given. These are again small island and territory in and around Australia. And they specifically told that if any transaction happening between this particular small territory and India, it will not fall into India-Australia treaty. I've just analyzed a few of them. Whole idea of putting it across in front of you is if you get any transaction, you go through it beyond what written in the invoice or beyond what written in the agreement before analyze whether the treaty is applicable. People tend to apply treaty because generally treaty gives you beneficial provision in terms of withholding tax, in terms of any other treatment, but you need to be mindful whether the treaty at all is applicable, not before suggesting any interaction. I'll move into the last 2 articles. To my mind, the most important article, and my experience, no one bothered to look at it. We get a case, we open the treaty, we analyze it, we say client, applicable, not applicable. Now, fortunately, unfortunately, or whatever I would want to say, you are in 2016, and none of this treaty are getting negotiated in 2016. That's a fortunate part of it. But if you analyze a transaction of 1995, I'm just presuming because of certain problem, you have to go and check whether the treaty was applicable on that day or not. Like in the start of the discussion, we spoke, what is treaty? Treaty is nothing but an agreement template, right? Bare minimum, all of us would have signed our rental agreements. Now the rental agreement starts with this agreement is executed on so and so date between party A, party B. That date is an effective date. That date is very important. If prior to that day the landlord asks you rent, you will say no. Or towards the end of it, say it is to be terminated by so and so date. If after that day the landlord asks, you will say no. Means the framework of the treaty is only applicable between two periods. Because treaty is nothing but an agreement. You have to read the treaty as it is. And hence it is important to understand what is entry into force. When is the treaty effectively applied? Huge ambiguity around it. Every treaty is worded differently. There is no one single answer in which it can be concluded. But before that, let us see what does the convention talks about on all this. OECD convention and UN convention, very similar in the wording. In fact, verbatim copy paste if you ask. And let us read one of them, the other will also take care of it. This convention shall be ratified and the instrument of ratification shall be exchanged at dash, that is the place to come, as soon as possible. That's the first paragraph. The second paragraph says, the convention shall enter into force upon the exchange of instruments of ratification and its provisions shall have effect state A dash dash dash, means it talks about which date it will be effective, state B dash 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 talks about which date it is effective. Means it just gives you 3-4 things. A, whatever you discussed has to be ratified by your government, by your authorities. Once it is ratified, you have to exchange the ratification through a diplomatic channels. These two events happen, then it will be effective state A on this date, state B on this date. If you see US, it talks about in terms of intent the same thing but gives little more clarification. And I'll read US just for the purpose of our discussion here. This convention shall be subject to ratification accordance with the applicable procedure of each contracting state. It will more clarify that. I am not talking about any ratification, I am talking about whatever is applicable in your state. So if you have a ratification process of going to government, from there, if you have a ratification process to go to the houses, lower house or upper house or state houses, please do that. Whatever is process, you follow that. Once that is done, the contracting states shall notify each other in writing through diplomatic channels when the respective procedures have been satisfied. The same thing which is there in Article 1 and Article 2 of OECD, they have just clarified a little. But they have not given the dates. Like in Article 2, we saw state A this date, state A this date. They have given much more larger definition. What is that definition? It talks about various scenarios. It says that in case of a withholding tax related issue, first you define a date, it will be effective, say for example on today's date, 20th August 2016. If it is withholding tax related provision, it will be applicable from the second month after the date of effectiveness. In our case, if it is 20th August 2016, it will be applicable from 1st October 2016 onward. Basically, the idea is to give time to the trade to understand the process and start working on the compliance basis. If it is with regard to any income taxability, it will be for any year starting from 1st January after the effective date. Same example, the 1st January after 20th August 2016 will be 1st January 2017. Means it will be on any financial year starting from 1st January. In US, you don't have a set financial year. Like we have 1st April to 31st March defined an income tax year is going to be April to March. In US, you can choose any tax year, whatever you want. You can start from 2nd January 2017 to 1st January 2018 is your first tax year, and you are allowed to do it. Your tax return file and your audit requirement all shifted accordingly because it is number of months from the day in which it is getting over. It doesn't talk about 30th September, 30th November as the case will be in Indian income tax. US is little more complicated, and that's why they have told any financial year starting from 1st January. Depending upon the client, you can choose it. It also gone and given effective date for Article 26 and Article 25, which is more on competent authority discussion. They say that any cases as on that day applicable to competent authority, it will be applicable on that case. For exchange of information, there is a different rule. Exchange of information, they say it is effective on that day in which it is signed, or in our case 20th August. Even though the information may relate to the previous period, but any information which is generated henceforth, they can have a right to exchange the information under the treaty. Whole idea is that US tried to put more transparency into the system, where they tried to define that the treaty will be effective on each and every circumstances. How does India treaty looks like? And when you look at it, it's really, really different. I'll come to that. But before that, let's just recap yourself. Whenever a treaty is signed, what are the steps involved? Number one is negotiation. The two countries negotiate. That's first date. Once the negotiation completed, you sign off. These two people, the two team who have sat there and negotiated, they will sign off. Third, they go back to their respective jurisdiction and get the ratification done, depending upon the rules of their respective state. India, as I understand, does not require ratification from Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Even the government of India, they ratify, that's enough. It's a little weird, but that's how the law is. After that, both of them come and exchange the ratification instrument. Once this happens, then they define what is entry into force. And that's where the state A, state B is there, that on this date it will be effective. After that, it will be published in the official gazette of each of these states. We will have one for Indian official gazette, we will have for other official gazette. And then it becomes effective in terms of overall stuff. What is important, why I want this overall in terms of steps is, important for us is the fifth one, which is entry into force. There are some treaties where protocol has also been linked to the notification of official gazette, but most of the treaty has concretely defined what is entry into force. Just because it is signed or it is negotiated or it is ratified does not mean that the treaty is effective on that day. It is effective what is written in the treaty. And hence it is very important that you look at the treaty. Whenever particularly you go back and analyze some transaction in the past. India has signed quite a few treaties between 91 and 2016. And if you are just looking at transaction of 3-4 years back, please go back and see if the treaty were applicable on that particular year. Indian perspective, if you see, there are around 26 treaties which have a separate article for income and capital. Capital does not mean capital gains here. Capital means the investment. It gives a different dates for income, it gives a different dates for capital. You have some treaty like Finland, Georgia and other where there is a different dates for withholding tax and a different dates for income tax or other taxes. You have case of Israel where there are dates given for each nature of income. Do you have a different for dividend, interest or royalty? You have different for income and capital. Whenever you look at it, just look at it because you, depending upon what income you are talking about, the effective rate will be different. I found some interesting stuff of reference of assessment years. As per my knowledge, I was always thinking assessment year concept is only in India. But we found a treaty reference of assessment year in terms of Bangladesh and Kenya. Now there may be a possibility that India had a better muscle power and they have negotiated better, or these countries in their domestic law also have a concept of assessment year. But there it is mentioned specifically that treaty will be applicable from assessment year this onward. Means anything before that assessment year treaty is not applicable. The idea of bringing this point is just don't read the treaty for provision, just read the treaty for the smaller piece as well. Because unless you read this, confirm this, all your note or all your opinion which you have perhaps developed based on P analysis, attribution of income, all these things may go wrong because the treaty is not applicable, You can't do anything. Just look at this before concluding anything. Last one, will not take more than 5 minutes. Termination, it's very similar of what is entry in force. But again, it's an agreement between parties. In any agreement we see, there is a termination clause. There is a process about how it can be terminated. Notices will be issued to whom, how the notice will be served, everything is there. Similarly, in this termination clause also is there. It's there in all the three conventions. US has given a little more clarificatory, and I'll come to that in a few minutes. UN and OECD talks about the convention shall remain in force until terminated by contracting state. Either contracting state may terminate the convention through diplomatic channels by giving notice of termination at least 6 months before the end of the calendar year after the year dash. What this talks about, it can be terminated anytime by any parties. The way of termination is it has to be a notice through diplomatic channel. The time they have written at least 6 months before the end of the calendar year. And last one, after the year dash, this is a lock-in period. If you have signed today, you can't terminate. You have to at least give us some time where both the parties will react to it, which is a regular lock-in period which we see in our agreements. In such event of convention, shall cease to exist to have an effect in state B. Again, they will write the dates. State A, they will write the dates. When you come to the US scenarios, they have again clarified a little more, like it's entry in force, saying that conventions shall remain in force until terminated by contracting state. Either contracting state may terminate the convention by giving notice of termination to other contracting state through diplomatic channel, and in such event, it shall terminate as on the date of such notification, it is point 1. And then they have again gone on saying that in case of withholding tax, how it will be applicable, in terms of regular tax, how it will be applicable. Again, by nature, they have given a little more clarification to bring more transparency. What is the lock-in period? When you see all India, except Greece, and I'll come to Greece in 2 minutes, most of the treaty have a lock-in period of 5 years. It has to remain active at least for 5 years. There are quite a few treaties which is there for 10 years. 2 of them I just mentioned at Korea and Italy, but there are quite a few which are for 10 years. There are some of them where there is no minimum duration mentioned, which they can be terminated at any point of time, which is like Swiss and Sweden treaties. Except one treaty where they can be terminated just after the signing, which is Greece. Now Greece is signed in 1964. Perhaps that was one of the first treaty which India would have been signed. International law were not so matured. If you see Greece treaty, you will not find most of the places they are par with conventions and others. They may be deviated, but again, the conventions are only guiding principles. It's between the two nations how they want to do it. It's working very well, but if you see, it's written there that it can be terminated anytime after 1965, and the treaty has been, if I'm not wrong, executed around 1964 or 63. But beyond that, most of the treaty has a lock-in period of 5 years or 10 years. If you see a little bit on some of the termination clauses are written, like we have in entry in force, there are various things for investment, there are various things for income. You will also find various things for nature of the incomes, like Israel treaty, which is nature of income entry in force. You will also find mentioned separate for withholding tax and other taxes of how it is to be terminated. And we will also find a reference of assessment here in case of Bangladesh and India. Like we have entry in force, we have a termination clause as well. Not much relevance if you ask me for termination, but it is important to highlight this if there is a recurring transaction. Now, I am not saying that the moment 5 years is over or 10 years is over, they are being terminated. It's not like that. Unless a need comes, no one wants to terminate it. And hence, the risk of termination lies at any point of time. But even though it's a recurring transaction, if the client specifically looking for it, you can always tell them that even though it's get terminated, it will take 3 more years for you to terminate, because the law talks about for withholding tax, you have to again do for 2 months, or for other income you have to carry for 1 more year, so all those things. Just keep that in mind when you are doing for it. It's important for any agreement to be read, and it is important for a treaty to also be read. With this, I am finished with my slide decks, but I would be happy to hear any questions or take any questions from you.
So in this treaty process which we were just discussed, generally how long may it take from the first step to the last step, from the negotiations to generally on?
See, again, there is no rule defined
Yeah.
yet. It depending upon the need of these two countries. If the need is very aggressive, we have seen it's closed less than 5 months, etc. If the need is not too aggressive and there is some dispute, like Indo-US, what I was told, I'm not sure on that, but it took little longer time. It took even more than 10 years as well. So it's again depending upon what is the need on both sides of it. Generally, India, if they are talking to someone which is lower than India in terms of economy, it's very quick because it is a pull from their side. And then if India is able to dictate proper terms, they can do it. A good example is Indo-Mauritius, the new thing which happened just 2 months back. If you see the way it is worded, one can make out that Mauritian authorities were so desperate in signing it that they just told, okay, everything what you want I'm going to do. Although it may have taken at least good amount of number of years to do it, but authorities were like this, they were not in a negotiating position. It's all about a negotiation. There is no fixed timelines. Sometimes it takes a little longer as well. Yes, please.
Yes, absolutely.
Not in the recent days. There is one treaty. No, I don't think so. That is also being terminated. There was some discussion with Cayman Island about how we are doing. Cayman Island, we don't have a treaty, but we were about to sign something, and thereafter we kind of rethinking process in that. I have not come across any treaty which has been recently terminated. I have not come across that. It has been re-clarified. Generally, termination happens when you really want to discontinue a trade with them, a particular country. I have seen where treaty has been renegotiated, a new protocol has been added, new clarification has been added to avoid one or two points of thing. But I have not come across any cases where it has been terminated. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Thanks for the patience hearing. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Amith, for the simple and articulative address on Articles 28, 29, 30 and 31. And we hear some applause to Amith. I now request Mr. Bandari sir to kindly come onto the stage and present a memento to the speaker, Amith Kumar, as a token of appreciation on behalf of the Bangalore branch of ICA. We shall now break for refreshments for 10 minutes and reassemble again for the next technical session to follow.